Okay, let's switch gears. Let's discuss the ongoing feud between your principal, Atiku Abubakar, and his estranged principal, former President Olusegun Obasanjo. I call these two elder statesmen, I call them, estranged lovers or spouses, because it will seem like every election cycle, suddenly they resurrect their age-long animosities. So President Obasanjo has been throwing um, jabs at Atiku all over again, and of course Atiku's camp also are responding in like manner. Indeed, during a recent interview on our platform, the Atiku's media aide, Mr. Paul Ibe, made very strong allegations claiming that a proposal has been made to former President Obasanjo by the incumbent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to ensure his kinsman does not lose the 2027 election. And that's the script President Obasanjo is working on. The only person standing in the pathway of Tinubu is Atiku Abubakar. So everything is being done to neutralize or weaken Atiku's chances. That's indeed President Obasanjo is misleading Nigerians by following Peter Obi and Kwankwanso, openly saying he's supporting their ticket. That is misleading Nigerians because he knows that ticket will not deliver anything. How do you respond to all of this?
I was in the presidential campaign as a spokesperson in 2023.
Yes. The Labour Party presidential campaign of Peter Obi, specifically.
Then I sincerely thought Obasanjo meant well. And because the power needed to go to the south. Yeah. So when he endorsed us, I sincerely thought he meant well. So I didn't believe it that he had any ulterior motive. But then after the election, I started seeing him wearing, how do you call it? Renewed hope cap. Attending occasions. When you go at times, you say, Mianda, First Lady, they will invite him, this and that. And I sat down and I said, okay, I will not confirm until when 2027 is approaching. Now that every opposition leader on their own chose a platform, ADC, to contest in. If Obasanjo sincerely meant that Tinubu will be removed from power, would he not work with the entire opposition in order to remove the incumbent? Power has rotated. I always judge men by their antecedents. Obasanjo is from the south. In 2015, Goodluck Jonathan had not finished 8 years. But Obasanjo joined the coalition even when he loathed Buhari. Even when Buhari wanted to upstage him and remove him as president in 2003 and become president, Obasanjo joined the coalition of the opposition people to remove Goodluck Jonathan when Goodluck Jonathan had not finished 8 years. Meaning he understood that it is only when the opposition is working together that they can defeat an incumbent. So if in 2027, because power has rotated to the south, Obasanjo is not willing to work for the opposition, entire opposition, but is willing to divide them, then I agree without equivocation that is working for Tinubu. I made it clear to everybody before that anybody that leaves the opposition by whatever name is working for Tinubu. Because the more divided the opposition is, the more Tinubu wins. So if Obasanjo comes out openly to say he's endorsing any candidate outside the opposition candidate, because all of us agreed when we went into ADC. That's why I take myself as the spokesperson for the presidential candidate of the coalition. That was how we started talking about ADC. I made it clear that anybody who emerges as the presidential candidate of the coalition, I will work for, I'll campaign for. So I'm not seeing myself just as the presidential spokesperson of Atiku Abubakar. No. I'm the presidential spokesperson of the presidential candidate of the coalition. Anybody who is not within the coalition is working for Tinubu, because we all agreed. Atiku Abubakar, Chibike Amechi, whether it's Tambo or whether it's Rufai, whether it's P2B, whether it's Kwakwanso, whether it was in ADC, we all agreed. So if Obasanjo is using any tactic to draw any politician away from the opposition, he's working for Tinubu. Let me correct an impression. There is no feud between Atiku Abubakar and Obasanjo. There is an outright mission of Obasanjo, and he said it himself, against Atiku being president. He said, God will not forgive me if I allow Atiku to be president. Even that statement, I'm sorry to say it, is very hypocritical, because in 2019 he still endorsed Atiku Abubakar to be president just because he wanted to get at Buhari, not that he wanted Atiku to be president. Now, he had made that statement that God will punish him, or that God will not forgive him if he supports Atiku to be president. What did Atiku do? In the letter he wrote to Oshoba, what is Atiku's business in it? I heard he was alleging that Atiku paid the money to Galinaba to impeach him. The mere fact that there was no reason for him to say it tells you that there is an ulterior motive. The mere fact that what he's saying is not tenable logically tells you an ulterior motive. And I'll tell you why it's not logical. Gali Umanaba finished as speaker in 2003. So even when he finished as speaker, Obasanjo still considered Atiku Abubakar the most qualified person to be his vice president.
Again.
Is it logical? If you say that you know that a man is capable of giving what he called paying people to impeach him, and you now went ahead to choose the same man to be your VP, who has a problem? Is it Obasanjo? For me, it's Obasanjo. Because you are complicit in whatever you claim the person is doing. But let me tell you the actual truth, having said this. I remember one day when Galio Manaba came out one morning and paraded money on a table in front of him. I said, this money is from the executive, the head of the executive. And that day we are paying money to some members of the House of Rep to impeach him. So to Gali Umanaba, Obasanjo wanted to impeach him. And Gali Umanaba too wanted to impeach Obasanjo. I remember Gali Umanaba saying this himself, I think during Obasanjo's birthday. He tried to impeach Obasanjo, it did not work. Obasanjo tried to impeach him, it did not work. Meaning that it is not the will of God that they will impeach each other. It was not only in House of Representatives that they wanted to impeach Obasanjo. In the Senate, they wanted to impeach him.
Under Payosanyim.
Under Payosanyim, they said it. Under Chubo Kadibu, they said it. Zwingina was the person who enumerated all the impeachable offenses by Obasanjo on the floor of the Senate. And that was why those two men, Galio Manaba and Zwingina, were never allowed to come back. That was the reason, part of the reason Chubo Kadibu was impeached. And if Galio Manaba said that Obasanjo wanted to impeach him, it is true. Obasanjo impeached in Obasanjo's time, he changed his Senate president 5 times in 2 tenure. Evan Ewerem was there. Obasanjo brought him against the will of the majority of the Senate. They removed Evan Iroele. It was not Obasanjo. They removed him because it was not their choice. Chobo Karibo came in. He was impeached. Obasanjo did not hide his dislike because Chuba had the mind of his own. Pius Anyim came in. He was the last person. That's 3. Then Nwabara came in. Obasanjo put him in chains and sent him to court to try him. Then after that, the Nwabara now left, and then Kenneth Namani came in. There was none of these 5 he worked well with except the first one. So Obasanjo changed the national chairman of his own party 5 times within 8 years. So was it Atiku Abubakar that was responsible for this? Atiku Abubakar was actually the person that was defending Obasanjo from being impeached. Each time Obasanjo is in problem, Atiku Abubakar manifests to assist him. Atiku Abubakar was the person who went to Ota when Obasanjo was not qualified to be president. Obasanjo was bankrupt. Obasanjo was a convict. And if you're these 2, you're not qualified. Obasanjo himself came out. The first day he went to them, he said, "Why are you put troubling me? You can't go to jail for 6 years and remain the same. I've had the highest office in the land. I've had the lowest office in the land. Why are you worrying me again? I don't want." It was Obasanjo when they went to him the first time. And Obasanjo told them his reasons. And Atiku Abubakar led the people that ensured that Obasanjo was cleansed from his bankruptcy and was cleansed from his being an ex-convict. They pardoned him. They paid off his debts. I remembered Ojus Okalu saying in one occasion that when he gave Obasanjo 100 million naira, as at that time. So you see, they cleansed him. And then Atiku Abubakar packaged him to be president. Atiku Abubakar had won election as governor of Adamawa State, but for his love of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar was part of the people that ensured power shift to the south. That is why it hurts me when people who do not know what they are saying are talking about zoning. Atiku Abubakar was the person who said, no, Nigeria is not going towards the right direction. From 1990 to 1993, even when Abiola promised him to be vice and did not fulfill it, he still begged his own boss, Yaradua, to support a Southerner to be president. And he helped MK Abiola in the North to win through Democrat. In 1998, he still maintained, even having become a governor, that power must shift to the South, that we are one country, and no section shall be seen to be marginalizing the other section. It will not be good for national unity. The only discord was third term. Obasanjo sent delegates to His Excellency Atiku Abubakar that he wanted a third term. And I'm quoting Atiku Abubakar now. He told me this. He said, when they came to me, I told them, would you deliver my message to him? They said, yes. He said, go and tell him that I will not only that I will not support him, I will fight it because it will not be good for Nigeria. And Obasanjo went ahead. He thought he could do anything he wanted. And Atiku, this same Obasanjo is talking about giving people money. Then Uchechukwu Merije came in and said they were being bribed for third term. Is it still Atiku? Is it still Atiku that is against it? That is giving money to the senators? Or giving money to the House of Rep people? Femi Gbajabiamila even said not too long ago that they were being bribed. 50 million from what I heard to the House of Rep, 70 million to the senators. Atiku Abubakar fought it and won because he's a Democrat. And that was why Atiku Abubakar said, I am loyal to you, sir, and you know it 100%. But when it comes to the issue of the Constitution, when it comes to the issue of loyalty to Nigerian people, I would choose Nigeria. I would choose the constitution above you. Because according to education, democracy is a government of the law, not of individuals. It's a government of rule of law, not of individuals. So Atiku preferred. Do you know that Obasanjo would have been like the Ugandan Yoweri Museveni, whose son now, as a military man, is trying to morph to become president after the father for almost 40 years. That is what he planned. So third term, Atiku Abubakar stood against it. And that is the reason of all this. When Obasanjo say corruption, have you ever asked him to give us specifics? Even when I was quoting him for political purposes, I only say, Obasanjo say corruption. I could not quote specifics. That tells you that the whole idea is vendetta. Atiku Abubakar has no problem with his boss. He remained loyal even till today. And Atiku Abubakar in 2017 challenged anybody that has any evidence of corrupt practice to bring it forth, and is willing to waive anything and everything to be investigated. It was under Atiku Abubakar, who was the head of the management team, that the fight against corruption was at its peak. And even an inspector general of police was tried for corruption. And if you go and read the history, Atiku Abubakar was part of the people that fired the inspector general of police. So I want you to know that the best thing that can happen to Nigeria today is that a Democrat known for his stand for democracy, a man who, as the head of the economic team, delivered the best economy to Nigeria ever that we have seen, a man that suppressed insecurity even as vice president, is the best thing that can happen to this country to be the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is why God has been keeping Atiku Abubakar. And Atiku Abubakar will be the next president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He has excelled in security. He has excelled in economy. He has excelled in democracy. He's a democratic hero. He fought the military, and he has delivered to us the stability we need in terms of the fact that nobody has succeeded in changing our constitution to become an eternal leader. Please, we should not miss this opportunity of redeeming Nigeria through Atiku Abubakar and Rotimi Amechi.
Okay, you've said quite a lot, and I allowed you because I see how passionate you are about this.
Thank you.
And I can't take that away from you. But I don't know whether I would allow you to respond to this, but in all you said, two quick clarifications. Number one, was it Atiku that actually brought Obasanjo in 1999, or the military? Don't forget, Obasanjo was the boss of all of them, the Babangidas of this world, the Abdulsalami Abubakar, the T.Y. Danjumas. And in fact, my own version of history is that it was IBB who prevailed on his kinsman, his Mina, brother, Abubakar, Abdulsalam Abubakar, that the best bet to assuage the grievances of Yorubas after Iroele was denied and then died, that they should choose their boss, their former boss, Obasanjo. And then it is on record that not only did T.Y. Danjuma probably financed that Obasanjo's campaign. In fact, T.Y. Danjuma, I read, said he would leave Nigeria if Obasanjo does not win, and marshaled all the resources to make sure Obasanjo won. And also he was rewarded with the position of Minister for Defense. 1 minute. Is that not the proper... Atiku played a role, no doubt, but not to the extent of IBB, Abdulsalami Abubakar, the head of state, and T.Y. Danjuma. What do you say to that? 1 minute.
Let me just put it in a summary form.
Yes.
You and I know that if I had broken down everything
that transpired,
we wouldn't go here today.
Exactly.
And thank God you put it in perspective. So what you said is largely correct. But the military men were not politicians.
True.
So they could only state their preferences. Now, amongst them, you have the politicians who will execute. So, whereas I agree with you that it was a collective decision of the powers that be, but it was Atiku Abubakar, being the most experienced political person amongst them, that was the arrowhead that implemented, that executed what all of them agreed to do together. Those people you mentioned, if you check in 2011, they still contested with Atiku Abubakar
I knew you were going to go there.
for the Northern ticket, Northern endorsement.
Exactly.
And Atiku still won all of them. So when it comes to politics, Atiku is the master. But I agree with you completely that these men you mentioned played significant and admirable roles in the birth of an Obasanjo presidency.